Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Yura and we're back. We are back again. It's not the Meadowlands video, but we are back. Welcome everyone to another Rush Duel Links deck profile. Oh god, I'm so happy to be here. I was really not sure what the new box was going to bring us, if I'm gonna be honest. I kind of expected it to give us like a Royal Rebels card because the skill got changed, some Pyrofusion stuff because, you know, those were, they got skill changes. Realistically, I was expecting us to get like a Legend Monarch bundle at some point. Maybe we got like a new generic here and there. I actually really wanted an Execute card or like two, because if you've seen my most recent deck profile, you know it's in a rough spot. I'm in the wrong color. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Anyway, that is not fully what we got. Well, yes, we did get Pyrofusion stuff and Royal Rebel stuff, which I will likely cover in a future video. The big unexpected thing that we got was the Sevens Fear Magician package. And I am someone who does not play a lot of OCG Rush. However, in the small stint that I actually did try to learn that format, the deck that I was playing was Darkcasters. And I have grown to adore Sevens Fear Magician, Magical Swordsman of Roadstar, and their Contact Fusion, Roadstar Glad Magia. These three cards, I think, elevate this deck so much higher than it was previously. Prior to this, the Sevens Road deck was like, I don't even want to say it was meta. Like, I don't even think it was rogue. Maybe it was rogue, but like, it was struggling. It lost access to consistent Ghost Cyclones. Its power ceiling was not nearly as high as someone like Red Eyes, but these new cards are really, really sick. So here's the thing. These cards do not necessarily make the deck more consistent, which I don't really think the deck needed, but it does give it some extra ways to extend past something like a Shiny Shady, which I think was the biggest weak point for this deck previously. And a lot of that power is kind of centralized in Magical Swordsman of a Roadstar. This card is phenomenal. It does so much for extending this deck into even better board states. And it also enables, of course, the really good Contact Fusion. This is kind of a weird deck profile to do because I've covered this deck previously, pretty extensively too. I covered it in an initial deck profile with the deck, and I also went over it as you could build it pretty free to play in my introduction to like Rush Duel Links. This deck, by the way, still very free to play. I think most of it you can now get from the structure decks, and instead of now having to go into the old Sevens Road box, not like the old one, but like the new old one, the one with Strange Witch, you can now instead just go into the deck build pack because that has Strange Witch in it. The only thing you're really missing out on is Sevens Road Ultimate Witch, but like, oh, and maybe, no, Charming's in the structure deck. Yes, you're missing Ultimate Witch. That's like fine. You can get away with that. It's okay. I have yet to make this card a single time, personally. That said, I am really excited for this upcoming format. I think despite the fact that this was a deck build pack and we didn't get all that much from it because deck build packs tend to give us like 6 or 7 cards depending on the box, I think this format does change enough to at least let some new decks enter the fray, and I absolutely think Sevens Road is one of them. So as with all my normal deck profiles, we're gonna go top to bottom, talk about the skill, talk about the card by card, and then go over the general game plan as we move along. This is kind of a weird one because I've already covered this deck before, so I don't really think I need to go too deep into things, but I will give everything a once over just for anyone that hasn't seen my previous profiles or is unfamiliar with these cards generally. So, Master Excel Road is completely unchanged from when this deck was initially released, and honestly, I do not think it needs to be. This skill is fantastic as it is. It is one of the best consistency skills in the entire game, and it's also just like, I don't know, it's pretty simple to wrap your head around. It's just a good skill. Specifically, this skill reads, for a requirement, you can reveal a Sevens Road Magician, Sevens Road Witch, or Swordsman of Roadstar, which are these 3 cards here, the main face of the deck, in your hand from turn 2 onward, if all the effect monsters in your constructed deck are spellcaster type monsters. Then, for the effect, you can add up to 2 Sevens Road Magician, Sevens Road Witch, Swordsman of Roadstar, and or Fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If you added 2 cards to your hand by this effect, you must also send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard. That or field does matter quite a lot, and it is very, very cool. It lets you do some very awesome things. It lets you set up for Strange Witch plays if you already have a monster on board. Something like Amazing Dealer is like a fantastic use case for this, where you can lead dealer, use its effect, maybe use a magical stream to pop a back row, and then use your newfound cards in hand to activate the skill, and then send the amazing dealer, and then summon Strange Witch to get your plays online from there. That said, for the card by card, we do have a good chunk of boss monsters now. Normally, you would just be on the Magician and the Witch, but of course, we do have the new Sevens Fear Magician in another boss monster slot, and we'll get to him momentarily. But first things first is the main face of the deck, Sevens Road Magician. This is a very simple card. It is understandably simple because it was one of the first Rush Duel cards ever released. It's a 2100 attack, a Dark Spellcaster monster that's level 7, and for a requirement of sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard, this card gains attack equal to the number of different attributes in your graveyard times 300. This currently doesn't actually cap out at its maximum because we are currently missing fire and wind, but we have darks, waters, earths, and lights, so we can at the very least get up to 3,300, which is nothing to sneeze at. Sevens Fear Magician, which is kind of a retrain, kind of works in the opposite way that Sevens Road Magician does, mainly due to his many long hands, I guess. Sevens Feared Magician is another Dark Spellcaster, level 7 with a 2100 attack, and for the requirement of sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard, this turn, this card's name becomes Sevens Road Magician, which is important. Then you can make a face-up monster on your opponent's field, lose attack equal to the number of different attributes in your graveyard, times 300 until the end of this turn. Very similar to Sevens Road, however, Sevens Fear, I think, is actually better, and the only reason we're not inverting the ratios is because Fear does not work with the skill. That said, what Fear does instead of Road is Fear is a significantly better fusion material than Road is, because Fear can use its effect to weaken something on your opponent's board and then fuse itself away, keeping that change in stats actually still on the board while getting yourself access to a boss monster. Whereas if you were to use the Sevens Road Magician for that fusion material, the Road Magician's attack boosts, the change in stats that are affecting the board, would no longer be present because the Road Magician is no longer on field. This lets you go for some really, really high damage plays, even through some of the brand new generics that have been introduced into this format that we will talk about when we get to the trap section. I'm sure you all see this brand new 3 of sitting here, and I will talk about that in a bit. As for our only level 6s, we're on Sevens Road Witch, the other star of the deck, genuinely maybe the most important card of the deck. Sevens Road Witch is a phenomenal piece. She continues to be really, really good, and because she doesn't specifically mention Sevens Road Magician for her special summon target, she can actually summon Sevens Fear Magician out of your hand if need be. She just won't get the extra attack boost that she would get if by summoning. She just won't get the extra attack boost that she would normally get by summoning Sevens Road. Specifically, Sevens Road Witch reads as a level 6 Dark Spellcaster with 1600 attack. You can send a card from your hand to the graveyard in order to special summon a level 7 or higher Dark Attribute Spellcaster type monster from your hand, face up to your field. Then, if you special summon Sevens Road Magician by this effect, this card gains 400 until the end of this turn. Fantastic effect. Like I said, it gets you both of these guys onto your board, which are really, really good, and also have very good fusions. Getting this guy to the board is very important. Either one of them, you will be in a good spot so long as there is either a Sevens Road or a Sevens Fear hitting your board. Another new card added to the deck is Magical Swordsman of Roadstar, who is like indescribably powerful. This card is ridiculous. I have found so much success off of finding a Magical Swordsman of Roadstar in the opener instead of like the regular Swordsman of Roadstar, because this guy's a vanilla, he doesn't do anything. Magical Swordsman of Roadstar is a level 4 Dark Spellcaster with 1200 attack, who, unlike Swordsman of Roadstar, actually does something, and is also a Spellcaster, which turns on Magical Stream, which, that's very good. That is a very, very good difference to have. Magical Swordsman of Roadstar specifically reads, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, then this turn, this card's name becomes Swordsman of Roadstar for fusion material, and then you can special summon a Sevens Fear Magician from your graveyard in face-up defense position to your field. So this card does a lot. Not only is this graveyard setup, which is fantastic for a lot of your big pushes, because a lot of them require having either different attributes in the graveyard or having multiple different numbers of dark spellcasters in your graveyard, but also it turns itself into Swordsman of Roadstar, which is 3 extra copies of one of our main fusion materials, and also reborns Seven's Fear Magician out of the graveyard, setting you up for a powerful fusion, but also allows Seven's Fear to do his debuff effect, which is so good for flipping a board state on its head. I genuinely cannot overstate how happy I am that we got both Magical Swordsman of Roadstar and Seven's Fear Magician in the same box that we did, because when the box was initially revealed, we only saw Roadstar Gladimagia, and we just kind of assumed like, oh, maybe Seven's Road is just going to get their contact fusion, and that's all they're like we're going to get. And you know, that probably would have been fine. This package, these two main deck cards, I think are the main reason to play this deck now. These two are phenomenal. They will straight up win games all on their own. I adore them. They are so, so good. That said, this deck does still have some issues. You can open up a handful of bricks, like you can just find like a bunch of Seven's Roads or Seven's Fears or Seven's Road Witches in your opening hand on turn 1, and then you can't activate your skill, so you can't do anything. That is where Amazing Dealer enters the fray. I was on previously Mystic Dealer, and even previously than that, I was on like Mr. Alchemy with Strange Cats. We are well past that. We have significantly better cards in the main deck now. However, Amazing Dealer is still a very, very good card. Amazing Dealer is one of our main targets to send off the skill, and also one of our main targets to send off of this very, very powerful trap card that we'll talk about later. But Amazing Dealer specifically reads, if you have 3 or less monsters in your graveyard, pay 300, then you can send 3 cards from your hand to the graveyard to draw 3 cards. This is very good for cycling your hand, obviously, but it's also really, really solid for graveyard setup. A lot of our cards in our deck really care about getting specifically named monsters out of the graveyard to make really powerful play pushes. We've already talked about Magical Swordsman of Roadstar, and we're going to talk about Strange Witch momentarily, and Amazing Dealer is a really solid way of setting those plays up. Speaking of Strange Witch, here is the previously greatest card in the deck, and it's still phenomenal, believe it or not. It still works really, really well. Strange Witch is our only current fusion target for Seven's Road Charmy Witch, and I honestly think that's totally fine. We have other ways of dealing piercing now with the Roadstar Gladimagia, and we'll talk about the extra deck as a whole when we get there in a moment. But Strange Witch is our main way of getting Charmy Witch online, and it's also just like a really good follow-up to the opening play of going Amazing Dealer, activate its effect, send a bunch of boss monsters to the graveyard, draw 3 cards, activate the skill, get a bunch of things into rotation, send the Amazing Dealer for the skill effect, and then slam down a Strange Witch, reborn the Seven's Road Witch, make a Charmy Witch, normal summon Magical Swordsman of Roadstar. You see where I'm going with this? This deck just flows. It just keeps on going, which it previously could not easily do because we lacked any sort of additional follow-up past the initial Seven's Road Witch, which would just get shadied, and then you would cry, and then it would be sad, and it would be very bad, and I would be very angry. It's fine. We're good now. Everything's fine now. The deck is so much cooler. And then, of course, you know, you've got Swordsman of Roadstar. I guess I should probably read Strange Witch for any of you that are unfamiliar with it. Strange Witch specifically reads, and the reason why you have to do things in the way that you do is that its requirement is to have no other monsters on your field, which is why we want to use the skill to remove the Amazing Dealer. But Strange Witch, when this requirement is met, allows you to special summon a Seven's Road Charmy Witch or Seven's Road Witch from your graveyard face up to your field. Then you can add a fusion from your graveyard to your hand. That special summoning Seven's Road Charmy Witch is good for late game. The main effect that you're going to be using, especially early on, is to summon out the Seven's Road Witch, because that lets you get into Charmy Witch very easily. This is functionally a 1-card Charmy Witch, so long as you have the proper graveyard setup. And can also be a 1-card Ultima Witch, so long as you have, like, you know, the proper setup. It's not exactly a 1-card, but it gets pretty close. Strange Witch, phenomenal card. I would love this card at 3. I don't think I would ever run any less. It's a very, very powerful starter. And then, of course, the Swordsman of Roadstar is here because he's fusion material. He's fine. We appreciate him. He's doing his best. As for our Limit 1, I'm choosing to play the Pot of Greed because this is a deck that wants to draw as many cards as physically possible to get a bunch of combo pieces into rotation. We're on 3 Magical Stream because this deck does still struggle a little bit with back row, especially the interruptive kind like Shiny Shady. And even to an extent, things like Executing Riding can kind of mess up some plays, although not nearly as much given that we have more tools, but you know, it can come up. 2 copies of Fusion. I've experimented with 1, but I really like having access to 2. It's a good discard thing for the skill or the Amazing Dealer, because you can get it back out of the graveyard with Strange Witch. So opening it really doesn't feel all that bad. You just don't want to play 3 because you really don't need 3. And then, folks, we get to the final piece of this main deck, which is the trap lineup. And you'll notice it's very different. Star Salvation Shield, or rather, as it's now known, Star Protector's Protection, which is a name of all time. I'm probably still going to keep calling it Shield because that is what I'm used to referring to it as, is a phenomenal card. It works so well with this deck's game plan. And it also keeps you from dying, which, you know, is good. It's a really, really good card. Star Protector's Protection, or Star Salvation Shield, is a trap card that can be activated when your opponent draws a card during their turn, or when your opponent normal or special summons a monster during their turn, in which you can then send a monster from your field to the graveyard to force your opponent to only be able to declare an attack once. That's not one monster can attack, so Dragius does not get multi-attacks. It's once. You get one attack, which for the most part means you are not going to die that turn, which is so nice for a deck that does not set up a super big board turn 1. It mostly likes to play on turns like 3 and 5, where it can really get off to the races. Additionally, this card also lets you steal a Magical Knight that's level 9 or higher with 3,000 original attack, but like, we don't have any of those that like meet that requirement yet. There's a very real chance that we get one in like the Road to Worlds campaign, but for right now, that effect doesn't matter. This card is so good. And the main reason why is that it gets a monster off your board. So you can use Strange Witch on the follow-up if your opponent does not break through your board. It's just like a phenomenal card. It is not interruption per se, but like it can activate at a moment where your opponent cannot really interact with it because it activates on their draw for turn, which functionally leaves them just like staring across the table at you like, I guess I'm going to try to punch you really hard, and if you don't die, you get to go. So like, yeah, we take those. That's really good. That's very good. We love that. Card's phenomenal. I'm sure it's going to come up in the games. It's very, very powerful, and I genuinely have been loving it. And then we're also on a Legend Trap of like your choice. I'm currently on Trap Hole, but this could be widespread. It could be like anything. I don't know. Like the Legend Trap lineup that isn't Limit 1 is so weird because it's like Trap Hole, widespread, and like, I don't even remember what else is still here. I'm sure I could look. It's nothing. Yeah, it's these two exactly. And then NA and Compulse are Limit 1. So, you know, we work with what we got. Onto the extra deck. Most of this is pretty unchanged. We've got Sevens Road Ultima Witch, who is a fusion between Sevens Road Witch and a Magical Knight or Spellcaster type fusion monster. For a requirement of none, you can shuffle a spell card from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, then add a spell card from your graveyard to your hand, and then also for the rest of the turn, you can only activate one normal spell card. This can add back Pot of Greed. Very late game card because of the material requirements, but when it does come up, it's very, very funny. And she's also just like massive. 3,300 is a huge stat line. We've also got Master of the Sevens Road, the big bungus of the deck. Do not let me catch you making this card early. If I see any of you fusion summoning this card turn 1, I'll be very disappointed. Please do not do that. Do not make the anime boy disappointed. I won't stop you. I can't physically stop you, but just please don't. There's so much better things you could be doing. Even just leaving the fusion materials for Master of the Sevens Road on board turn 1 is better than making this guy turn 1. This is your finisher. He gets a really, really big late game, and with all the ways the deck has of milling, you will get to the late game very, very quickly. To give you a specific example of why you shouldn't make this early, Master of the Sevens Road is a fusion between Sevens Road Magician and Sevens Road Witch, which, you know, it's a pretty high investment. Those are two really big monsters. It doesn't have a requirement, and it's got a continuous effect of gaining attack equal to the number of dark attribute spellcaster type monsters with different names in your graveyard times 300. With the addition of Magical Swordsman of Roadstar and Sevens Fear Magician, this guy gets very big. He gets very, very large. And if you have 7 or more dark attribute spellcaster type monsters in your graveyard, which we can now hit significantly easier because of the inclusion of Fear and Magical Swordsman, he deals piercing. So you might understand now why I'm saying to make this guy late game. A 4,500 attack piercer hits like a freight train. So please don't make him early. Save him for the end game. I promise you, he will steal you games you should have no business winning. As for the rest of the fusions, we've got Sevens Paladin, who was our previous fusion between Sevens Road Magician and Swordsman of Roadstar. For a requirement of sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard, you have a multi-choice effect of allowing this card to gain attack equal to the number of different attributes in both players' graveyards times 400 until the end of this turn, so kind of a souped-up version of Sevens Your Magician. Or you can shuffle a monster from your graveyard into the deck in order to draw a card. This is a totally fine effect to be activating going first if you can actually set that up. The second one specifically, I love that extra draw because it can draw you into like back row or I don't know, like a play extender, especially now that we have Magical Swords and a Roadstar available. It's a good effect. Definitely don't put it off, but this guy gets very, very big with that first effect. Roadstar Gladimagia is the new fusion between Sevens Your Magician and Swords and of Roadstar that we got, and this one is a contact fusion. For the requirement of sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard, you can either make a monster on your opponent's field, lose attack and defense equal to the number of dark attribute spellcaster type monsters with different levels in your graveyard times 400 until the end of this turn, or you can make this card inflict piercing damage. This is our other main way of breaking through set 3 pass that isn't exactly Charmy Witch, and it's very good at that, being a contact fusion, so you can just kind of ignore the fusion spell if you don't really have access to it. The final extra deck monster that we have is Sevens Road to Charmy Witch. She's been a staple of this deck since that new box came out, or rather the structure deck. And she is a fusion of Sevens Road Witch and a level 1 Earth Attribute Spellcaster type monster, which is the Strange Witch. For the requirement of sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard, you can change the battle position of a monster on your opponent's field. Also, this card now deals piercing battle damage for the rest of this turn. And if you have a Sevens Road Magician in your graveyard, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects this turn, which is great for playing around something like Widespread Ruin, although her attack set is kind of beaten out by all the other fusions in the deck, so that's a little unfortunate. That said, I have yapped for a very long time about this deck that I've already covered twice, so let's see it in action. All right, in we go into Sabu Ramen. Please be on Noodles. Oh, it's Noodles. All right, so I have not played against Noodles a lot, I'm going to be honest, and I am very curious to see if it's doing anything new. This hand is kind of weird. We do have a good turn 3, but this turn 1 is going to be a lot of praying to God that my opponent cannot break through Trap Hole plus Protection. Speaking of, Protection Blast, go! And then we're just going to Trap Hole the good normal summon if they do find it, which is the new Flavor Inspector. And then we're just going to pray. We're straight up, we're just going to pray. Things will simply be okay. So they get 1 attack this turn. I'm hoping if we can keep them off their fusions, we're going to be in a really good spot, especially given our follow-up next turn is looking pretty solid with an activation of the skill, putting this 7 Sphere Magician into the graveyard for any magical swordsmen that we end up drawing. They're going to activate their skill, add fusion to their hand, and the Noodle Art of Flavor Shift, which I believe is only once per duel on that ad. They're going to send Medley, which leads me to believe that they might have... Flavor Inspector. They might have Secret Order in hand to get that guy back out. There's Ember, the Super Assistant, and a Noodle Art of Flavor Shift. This is going to change the name of something. I assume you're going to change the Ember to Spice for this big fusion. I'm a little afraid of this. I probably should have Trap Hold the Flavor Inspector, but I didn't really have faith that they wouldn't just have another of the bigger Flavor Inspector in hand. So we are going to take a decent amount of damage here, and we're also going to lose our Trap Hole in the process, unfortunately. It's whatever. Or not. I am actually going to hit this strike. I want to get some value out of this Trap Hole. I forgot Spice has to reborn Elite Noodle Ninja to get the bonus effect. All right, so we're down to 31, but we are honestly not too poor here. Yeesh, that's not good. Those are not good ones. Let's reveal, and then we're going to grab the Roadstar, and I kind of want to go a second Roadstar. The problem is I don't have fusion access here, which is bad. Yeah, this hand was kind of yikes. We are still going to get 2 Roadstars here because I can make Gladimagia, actually, so this is definitely worth it. We're going to send the Sphere to the graveyard because I don't really need him. I guess I could have summoned the Fear off of the Rich, so that might have been a misplay. It's fine. Everything will simply be okay. I fear nothing. Yeah, sending the Fear there was definitely incorrect. I should have sent the Road Magician because 7 Dreaded Witches are not going to be able to get over anything here anyway. We hit the Widespread Room, which is very nice, actually. So that's their Legend spell gone alongside mine. I am going to go the 7 Drum Magician effect here to mill. That's a bad mill. that's a very unfortunate mill. And then we're going to Contact Fusion out Gladimagia here. I know it's technically looks like it's less damage, but this might actually just let us get over an additional body, which I would very much appreciate. Let's go Gladimagia, shrink you down to 25, so it's not quite enough. We can actually get in, beat over the fusion, and then pass it back and just pray to God we don't die. That was a very bad turn for us. I really should have summoned the Fear Magician first, because that could have hopefully let us get over something with the Witch, but that was just a rough hand. So we'll see where we can go from here if we do survive this turn, which I'm going to be honest is not very likely. Okay, they're going to set 2. They might actually not have any plays here. Their skill might not be online, which gives us a lot of leeway to do something really crazy here. Them clearing this 7-Road Witch is actually really good for us, because if we do draw a Magical Swordsman, we're in a great spot, like exactly that. So we are actually going to lead the Magical Swordsman here, and then rip this Magical Stream on one of these back rows. I'm assuming one of them is Shiny Shady. There's a Secret Order. That's a pretty decent hit. Let's go Magical Swordsman of Roadstar. We're going to special out the 7 Sphere Magician, which is, it's all part of my plan, actually, believe it or not. I did this all on purpose. Let's shrink you down. And I don't actually want to Contact Fusion again. I want to go Master Excel Road here. We're going to reveal the Roadstar, and we're going to get a... This is weird. I'm going to get the Fusion and a Road Magician. And then we're going to send to the graveyard this amazing dealer who isn't really doing much for us. Let's go the Fusion here for our good friend Sevens Paladin. Because I think we're going to make this Roadstar Gladimagia do piercing damage this turn. And then let's go normal summon out the Roadstar. Summon for Witch. So we do get to keep this guy in our hand for additional game pushes next turn. We can activate the skill again, rather, I should say. Let's go for piercing damage, get another Dark Spellcaster into the graveyard, which doesn't really do much for us. But we can go Sevens Paladin here to gain a bunch of attack. And let's get swinging. 49 over this guy is going to be 36. They're going to have... Ooh, that's... what's it called? Nobody's Phantom Thief, I think. That's unfortunate. That's an unfortunate hit. There's a very real chance we die on the crackback here because I summoned out this 7-Red Witch instead of setting it. This is kind of a thing that I personally have to work on in my tactical play, which is setting monsters when I don't have game on board, because the crackback is going to be the thing that kills me. But we'll see. They got Pot of Greed here. They have their skill activation. I'm going to assume this is going to be enough to kill, but we'll see. They're going to add Fusion. They can't get Flavor Shift because they already added it. They're going to send Medley. We do know that back row is a likely Nobody Phantom Thief. There's a Flavor Inspector. Do they have a Stry to add back the Flavor Inspection? Flame Rule is going to get tribute off for the Spice the Elite Noodle Ninja. So they do get the pop off of the Extra Spice. I think that's his name. What the Fusion guy. You know what I'm talking about. That guy. Rich Broth, I guess is what I'll call him. Yep, Rich Broth is going to revive and pop. This actually might not be lethal. We might be okay. And if it's not lethal, we're gaming. Never mind. I think we're dead. That's pretty bad. All right, that's unfortunate. I definitely feel like I misplayed this, especially with that earlier turn, getting Fear into the graveyard, but it's okay. It is A-okay. Sometimes these happen. It was a weird opening hand for us. We can go next. I do think it is important to keep duels like that in for videos like these, because it does show that this deck, while it is strong, does actually have weaknesses. And of course, like, this deck is not meta. I don't think it's like the best deck in the room, but like, it is important to showcase that like this deck can brick, and it will brick. Opening hand here looks significantly better. We're going second. We have a ways of turning on our skill, which is really nice. We also have Amazing Dealer for graveyard setup. So let's see what our opponent has for us. They're going to set 2, set a back row, and pass it back. All right. We're going to draw here. Is that the new card? It is not. All right. So let's lead the skill. Oh, no. We want to summon Amazing Dealer first. Shiny Shady here. Okay. Good to know. I mean, if they hit Amazing Dealer here with Shady, I'm totally fine with that. I think I actually really want to activate this here. I know we can activate the skill right now, but like, I think I actually really value doing this and just cycling new cards out. That did work out. It was a little scary, but it did work out. We can go Magical Stream here. Hit this back row. We know it's Shady. Let's go the skill. We're going to reveal Swords and a Roadstar. Grab a Witch, and I think I might actually get another Roadstar for normal summon because we might send this Amazing Dealer. Because we have a Fear in hand, so we can use that for Contact Fusion. So we don't really need to get Fusion here. So yeah, let's do this. And then we're going to send the... I guess it doesn't really matter. We can send the Roadstar. I guess I could have just added one and then not needed to send, but meh. It's fine. Oh, actually, problem. I can't do this because... Okay, we're just going to not make the Contact Fusion. It doesn't feel great, but I want to keep this Trap Hole online. We can go Fear Magician here. Just get... Oh, well. I wanted to get a Dark Spellcaster Engrave. Let's swing in, pass it back, and see what our opponent's got for us. This Trap Hole is going to look really nice into a Witch play. They set 2 vanillas, so I'm feeling actually pretty decent about this. Of course, they could just open Magical Stream. We know they kept 2 cards in hand. It's probably cards for their skill, so we might be seeing something crazy here. Really hoping to see them lead Swords and a Roadstar, not the magical one, so that we know they don't have access to the Magical Stream. But here's hoping. They're going to reveal the 7th Road Magician and get their skill going. We're going to add another Magician and Fusion. Okay, so they're likely potentially not going for the Contact Fusion here. They're going to pitch the Fusion. Okay, maybe they are. Or they have Strange Witch. Okay, summon normal... I can't speak. Normal summon Swords and a Roadstar is what I wanted to see here. Because now we can hit the 7th Road Witch with this Trap Hole. And if they do have Strange Witch, we've been owned. We've been severely and utterly owned. And you know what? Sometimes that just happens. And it's going to be okay. It's just going to be okay. Down comes Dark Sorcerer, who is not going to be able to do it. Activates Talismanic Steel Array, so they are going to be able to get over one of our monsters. I do not fear this whatsoever. This is A-okay by me. I feel very good about this. Even if we lose the Fear here, it's fantastic, because if we just draw Magical Swords and a Roadstar, it's like he never left. All right, come on, deck. Not quite what I needed. Not quite what I needed. We are still going to go Witch here. Let's send the Star Protector's Protection because we don't need 2 of those. We do actually still have Fear access. Let's go Fear Magician. Fear Send. Shrink you. Down to 600. We can go Strange Witch here. And since we already have the Fusion, we might as well do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's not enough. Let's make Charmy Witch here. It is still technically more damage. And then we can set the Star Protectors. Charmy Witch, get another into the graveyard. That's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to draw that. So let's punch it for 28 and 21. And we're going to flip this Star Protectors during their draw phase, sending the Fear, and we are looking real good. Yep. Here's Protectors. Send Fear. Go ahead. I'm pretty sure they cannot kill us no matter what they do here. Unless they pop my guy, which I'm fairly certain 7th Row does not have access to, unless I'm completely misremembering the card pool. But, like, I know I haven't played Rush Duel Links that consistently recently because I've been playing too much Pokemon Champions, if you've seen my live streams. But I don't think they got a card that pops unless they're on, like, Hammer Shot, in which case, yeah, you got me, I guess. I've been owned then. They're going to reveal 7th Row Magician for the effect and then got Fusion and Swordsman of Roadstar. I just, like, can't speak. I don't know what's going on. They're going to send the Magician to the graveyard and normal summon a Flare Sorcerer. So they are on the version of the deck that is playing these, like, Omni Vanilla Magicians, which is, like, fine. They're going to go 7th Road Witch, which discard to summon. Is it Fear or is it Road? It's Road. I kind of figured they weren't on the Fear stuff because we haven't seen any of them, and we're seeing a lot of the regular guys. Here comes Master of 7's Road. This guy is not actually going to be all that big. Yeah, 39 is... It's not that good. They're going to set one and pass it back. We got 13 cards in our deck, and most of the draws are bangers, so let's try to wrap this one up. Yeah, that'll do it. Hello, Magical Swords and a Roadstar, my good friend. Magical Swordsman is going to mill and summon back the 7's Fear. 7's Fear is going to mill and shrink you. Down to 27. Good lord. And then we can go the Master Excel Road here, revealing the Swordsman of Roadstar. We're going to grab this Sevens Road Witch out of the graveyard, and I guess Magician. Why not? I mean, we already have one, but like, you know, two. Why not two? I don't need this magical stream. This is fine. We're actually going to, we're going to Contact Fuse away into Roadstar Gladimagia. Contact Fusion. Let's go Swordsman of Roadstar here. Oh, I needed to get a second Roadstar. Oh, well. It doesn't matter. I think we're chilling. Actually, this was all part of my plan because now I'm going to make my own Master of Sevens Road and show them how you're actually supposed to use this card. Let's go Sevens Road Magician. Send another. Is another Dark Spellcaster. No, come on. Please let me do this. Come on. I want to hit you with big number. Come on, please. This Master's going to be so large. Please, God, let me kill you. No. Connection error. No. Please. He's going to be so big. No. Damn it. All right, well, I was going to win that game. Like, I had Piercing. I had the Master. Like, it was going to be a very big Master, I promise you. All right, let's go another one. One more game. One more game. UDS Valgear. One more game. One more game. I'm going to die. It's like Galaxy. All right, this is going to be a big showcase of can Star Salvation Shield save my life. With a hand like this, maybe. I don't have Star Salvation Shield, but like, this is a pretty good hand. I'll take this. It really depends on what the draw off the top is, but like Strange Witch is a really nice find. All right, they're going to normal summon out Galactiar Eve. A fantastic start for them, honestly. Then here comes Leica. I assume here's Fusion. Yep. Really, really good starting play from them here. They get to just, I assume, draw another card. They're going to put the Fusion back on maybe top or bottom. I assume bottom. Yep, defense position. That makes sense. Fuse Eve is going to shuffle back this Fusion. Return to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. They're going to set, and third. 3 back row. That is very scary. Let's draw for turn. Sevens Road Magician is not exactly what I wanted to see, but it's okay. Let's go Master of Sevens Road. Reveal Swordsman of Roadstar. We'll grab Witch and Fusion. And then we're going to send the Witch here so we can get this Strange Witch going. And I'm going to rip this Magical Stream. I know they don't have anything. I'm well aware, but I still want to get rid of something. Okay, goodbye Fusion. I don't think that actually matters too much. Let's go Strange Witch. Strange Witch is going to revive the Sevens Road Witch. And then Road Witch to discard this Sevens Road Magician. Summon out Sevens Road Magician. Let's Fusion for our Charmy Witch. Our good friend. And then let's get milling. Charmy Witch is going to send the Swordsman of Roadstar. Yes, I know this is technically looks like it's less damage, but I promise you this makes sense. Let's mill again. Get up to 27. And let's get a swing. Ooh, wait. I keep forgetting this is a Contact Fusion. Let's get gaming. Let's go gambling. Roadstar Gladimagia is going to hit the board. Let's go the first effect to shrink. Down to 1,200. Let's get swinging. Big damage coming in. 16 and 29 direct. All right, go off. I don't think turn 3 Light Galaxy is killing me through 2 boss monsters and 6,000 life points, but I am very ready to be proven wrong. They're going to drop to 5, 2 cards set on their field. I assume they're extenders because they had no interaction at all during our turn. There's Curse of the Rising Light, going to set one of our guys to face down defense position. Thankfully, Gladimagia actually has like a solid amount of defense points, so even if that does get split face down, I'm actually not too worried. This Curse also not going to be drawing them any cards because a trap card was not activated and it is not turn 2. Galactiar Eve, really solid for them here. They're going to use its effect though, so they're not going to use off with it. They're instead going to send the Lilac and scoop it up because they could not find a skill activation. GG's. Let's hop back to the deck profile because it's been a little bit. I've been in this recording for a little bit. All right, we're back with the deck, and yeah, it's good. It is significantly better than it was before. That said, a couple of notes. So Sevens Road is weird. Its skill is really good. It's a very good consistency skill, but it doesn't interact at all with the new support. This is just kind of like a separate sub-engine that now exists within the main deck. And while it is very strong, and Roadstar Gladimagia is like an unbelievable card, like I'm so happy we have a contact fusion in this deck, it does still, as you saw in that first game, sometimes struggle with just not really having the ability to get a good, exactly turn 1 play going. Turn 2, if you start the game going second, you're in a fantastic spot. But turn 1 specifically is a little weird. You kind of have to open exactly like Star Salvation Shield or Protector's Protection, whatever, and like a couple of like normal summonal guys, which is not impossible, but there are those games where you'll open like Robe Magician and Fear Magician and like some cards that don't do anything, and you just kind of sit there twiddling your thumbs. That does happen. I don't think that means the deck is bad though. As you saw in those other 2 games, it can just keep on playing. And it's not to the extent that like Music Princess can, or like Gradius can, or Hero or Red Eyes, but like it's got answers to some of its previous problems, and it's really nice that we have them. I don't think this is a final version of the build. This is like a day 1 build, and I haven't had a day 1 build go up in a very long time. Normally I wait a little bit to see what other people are cooking and like do a little bit more testing myself, but I was just so excited to get these cards that I really wanted to record this and just play a couple of games with it on ladder because it is just so much fun. And I do love like spellcasters. I love Yuga's deck. I love Sevens Road. It's a very, very cool archetype, and I'm really excited to get more of it. With all that said though, I'm going to be wrapping up here for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Upcoming, got some new Rush Duel Links deck profiles, and of course the intro to Meadowlands is still in progress. If you follow me over on Blue Sky, you can keep track of how I'm making progress on that. We are currently 2 minutes into the edits out of 33, so you know we're getting there. Whole script has been recorded. I did a first and couple of passes on the audio, so I think we're pretty good there. So expect to see that sometime soon. Not really sure when, but definitely more Rush Duel Links deck profiles sometime even sooner. Likely we're going to be covering the Pyro Fusions and the new Royal Rebel stuff, because I think they've changed significantly since the first time I looked at them. That said, again, thank you all so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you want to see more of me, again, you can follow me on Blue Sky, or you can check out my Twitch channel, where I have been playing a lot of variety. Recently, it's been a lot of Pokemon Champions because, yeah, game's a lot of fun. Videos for that gonna be going up on the variety channel, Dreaming Vespers, which is linked in my profile. So if you want to check out more videos from me there, feel free to. But I'm gonna be hopping out of here, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!